They did already release a pumpkin spice liquid lipstick. The packaging and shade name is the same. They've got a shade here called Spice of Life, but then in their first gingerbread palette they also had a shade called Spice of Life. I don't know what they're called. I think they're called Satins. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today is a super exciting video. As you can see, I've got my autumn cushions, so it's officially autumn. I'm filming this on the 3rd of September, so it literally is officially autumn. And to go along with it being autumn, I'm testing the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette, which I'm so excited about. I love their like autumn Christmas releases. I get them every year and I just love them. Even though all their palettes are quite similar, which we'll talk about in a sec, I just like to collect them. I think they're just like, it's like the start of autumn when the Too Faced palettes come out. So obviously I'm going to be testing this one on my eyes. It is the look I've already got on. So if you wanted to find out how I got this, then carry on watching. But I just did want to touch on, I saw a few other people's videos talking about how the palettes are very, very similar. So this is the pumpkin spice one, but let me just grab the gingerbread and gingerbread spicy, extra spicy palettes. So one thing I did notice is the packaging definitely kind of like reflects the shades inside. So the gingerbread spice one, quite dark packaging in comparison to the pumpkin spice one, and inside their shades are quite dark. That yellow is quite similar to the yellow that's in the pumpkin. I'm holding these really awkwardly, hold on. How do I hold these? Okay. So, I'll hold them a bit closer to the camera. So, bottom one is pumpkin spice, top one is gingerbread spice. As you can see, gingerbread spice is a lot darker, a lot warmer, I guess, because there's a few cooler tones in the pumpkin spice one. Yeah, so there are a few similar ones, I'd say. So there's a pink one and orange one. Oh, the yellow that I was on about is gold, so ignore me there. Like I said, the packaging kind of represents like the shades inside. So that one is a little bit lighter, which I do actually prefer. And then if we look at the gingerbread extra spicy, which I still have in its box. Oh, and I still got the leaflet, that's cute. This one's actually a little bit more muted, I think. As you can see, I really haven't played with this one as much as I have the gingerbread spice one, the original one. So top one is pumpkin spice, bottom one is extra spicy. There isn't actually that much of a range in extra spicy. I think it's more of like a everyday neutral palette, whereas the top one, pumpkin spice, is a lot more like, there's just a lot more different shades to play with. So there are similarities and there are also differences. Like neither the gingerbread spice or extra spicy has any purple shades, but extra spicy I'd say is more of like an everyday neutral palette, whereas pumpkin spice, you've got a lot more kind of like adventurous shades. I'm holding these so badly. So yeah, I thought I would just do a quick comparison because at first glance they are all very similar, but when you look at the shades and stuff, there are obviously differences. I did watch someone's video where they directly compared each shade, and there are a few shades in each of them that do look the same, so I'll link that video down below because I don't really like doing swatches, so I'm not going to swatch them all. But I will obviously swatch the new pumpkin spice palette. The other thing I wanted to talk about is every year with their seasonal palettes, they release a liquid lipstick with it. This year they released a liquid lipstick called Pumpkin Spice, I think it was, to go with the palette. But in last year's Christmas collection, they did do, which I have right here that I bought last year, a pumpkin spice liquid lipstick. As you can see, it's got the same packaging on the top, and on the back it does say pumpkin spice, and it is what I'm wearing on my lips. I don't know if the shades are exactly the same because I didn't buy the new pumpkin spice one because I already had this one, but I did notice that when I saw the like new release thing on Instagram that they did already release a pumpkin spice liquid lipstick. So are they reusing the one from last year? I don't know, but I did just want to mention that because it is something that I noticed. And the liquid lipstick, I think is £19 on its own, whereas this one I think came in a set that was £22. So if you can find the set from last year and you really, really like the pumpkin spice one, I would just buy the set because you get 3 other lipsticks and I think the one that they're using this year. Again, I don't know if the shades are exactly the same, but the packaging and shade name is the same, so I thought that was quite interesting. But if you did want to see what I thought of the palette and the shades and how they performed, then carry on watching. Okay, so we are all zoomed in. I haven't actually opened this yet. It's come in this really cute packaging. It's got pumpkin spice on it, and I really like that it's got like the little chai as well. I think that's adorable. So let's crack into it. So it's come in the same tin packaging as all the other gingerbread and chocolate palettes. I think it's quite different that they've done more of an autumn themed palette rather than Christmas, because this time last year they released their gingerbread and gingerbread spice palettes, but this time it's more like autumn themed as opposed to Christmas, which I really, really like because we don't get a lot of autumn themed palettes and like makeup products, I feel like. So let's have a look inside. It doesn't smell of pumpkin, I don't think. It just smells very, very sweet, but the colours look really, really nice, especially that yellow. It looks very, very bright. But first impressions are that it looks super autumnal. Like you've got the like deeper greens, and then you've also got like neutrals and pinks, and then obviously the like deeper warm tones over here, and some purples, which I think is quite nice for an autumn palette because I don't think they had any purples in their gingerbread spice palettes, so that's quite interesting. Especially the shade here called PSL and Chill, which I quite like. But one thing I did notice when I was looking online is they've got a shade here called Spice of Life, but then in their first gingerbread palette they also had a shade called Spice of Life that was a different colour. So I don't know if that's intentional or if they've just forgotten what they named their shades in the other palette. But I did think I'd just point them out. I have seen a few videos saying that obviously their fall and Christmas palettes are very similar, which is true, but I think that's intentional because they're all limited edition, so if you didn't get your hands on it the first time or the second time, then you can kind of get a similar range of colours in like this palette or the extra spicy palette. But then on the other hand, they are kind of like collector's palettes, I think, because obviously I collect them even though they're very expensive to get here in the UK. But then there are obviously like a range of new colours each year, so I think the ones that stand out to me most are the greens and the purples and that yellow, but I think there was a similar yellow in the extra spicy palette. So I'm just going to put on some of the Too Faced eyeshadow primer. I'm just gonna go find it. I couldn't find my Too Faced one, but I am just gonna use this MUA Pro Base eyeshadow primer. Okay, so I have no idea what kind of look I'm gonna do. I'll insert some swatches now, which I will obviously do later on because I wanted to leave the palette completely untouched for when I film this video, because honestly, these are probably like the most exciting videos I get to do. It's like new Too Faced releases, even though they are normally quite expensive. Like I paid $13.50 to get this palette shipped. And it didn't even ship on the correct day. Like I was supposed to get it before the 30th and I didn't end up getting it until the 2nd, which was kind of annoying, but especially since I paid so much for shipping, but that's fine. As you can see, there's some really, really pretty colours in here. Hopefully the shimmer shadows swatched well, they normally do. There's 3 different types of finishes in here. So there's obviously the mattes, the shimmers, and then I don't know what they're called. I think they're called satins. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the ones that aren't quite as shimmery as like the glittery shimmery ones are called satins. And there is 3 of those, 3 shimmers, and then 12 mattes, if my math is correct. But yeah, I'm gonna try and do a really, really autumnal look because obviously that's what vibe I'm going for today. I've got on an autumnal lipstick, which hopefully I would have spoken about at the beginning of the video. It's basically, I think they've repackaged one of their old Christmas liquid lipsticks, but I'll talk more. Well, I would have hopefully spoken more about that at the beginning of the videos. I normally try and film the intros after I've done the look, but I also get quite confused, so hopefully I've mentioned that already, but if I haven't, I'm mentioning it now. So I'm gonna start off with, I want to do a warm look, but I want to incorporate the greens. Okay, I think I've got it. I'm gonna start off with the darkest shade. I'm gonna go for Warm and Cozy, which is just there. Hopefully you can see that. I'm just gonna take like a rounded fluffy brush for that. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to clean off my brushes, especially for this palette. There's a lot of fallout in the pan, which I don't normally mind, but it is a little bit messy. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't have time to clean my brushes for this video, but I did bring along my little dry brush cleaner, so if worse comes to worse, we can just swill it in there. So I'm just taking the darker shade Warm and Toasty and popping that right in the outer corner of my eye, and that's super pigmented and you definitely don't need a lot of that shade on your brush. I'm also going to do my best to like wing it out a bit because I don't normally do that, and I really like the way that looks on other people. I'm mainly just like packing this shade because sometimes in past experiences with Too Faced palettes, sometimes the like darker brown purpley reddy shades can be a little bit patchy, but I'm not getting that with this one, although I am packing it like I just said. Okay, that shade's looking really good. This side, my winging out is a little bit messy, I think, but overall the shade performed really nicely. It doesn't look patchy, I don't think, as far as I can tell. But next I'm going to go in with the orangey shade called Ginger Spice, just that one there. Again, you really don't need a lot on your brush because these are like quite heavily pigmented. This one's going a little bit funny, I feel like. Okay, and then more towards the corner, I'm actually going to take this shade Sweetie Pie just there, so that when I use the green, it looks a bit more put together, I think. That's my thought process anyway. So I'm just going to take a little bit more of a dense brush since it's in the corner of my eye. And this shade's kind of like a browny, greeny, yellowy sort of colour. It's really hard to describe. It's like such a unique colour, which I think is great for these Too Faced seasonal palettes. Because obviously when you're paying £40 for a palette, you do want like a few unique colours in there, as well as like some versatile usable ones as well. And then to try and bring all that together, I'm going to try and blend it out with the yellow because I feel like it needs warming up just a bit. So I'm just going to take a big fluffy brush for that one. Okay, I'm just going to go back into Ginger Spice because I feel like that one isn't quite as pigmented as it could be. I feel like I've used all the wrong shades together, like they've kind of blended into one shade because they're all quite, like they're all the same kind of tones. Okay, what I think I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to cut my crease and then put that shimmer shade over it. I was just gonna put the shimmer shade straight over the eyeshadow, but I want it to really stand out, so I'm just gonna cut my crease with some concealer and then pop on the shade there called Full Vibes. Kind of didn't work, but that'll have to do. So I'm gonna apply the shimmer shade with my finger and then get in close to the edges with a flat brush, but I am just gonna start off with my finger. Oh, that shade is so nice. Look how reflective it is. And it's such a pretty, like almost autumn leaf shade. I love it. It is quite a chunky shimmer, but personally I don't mind that. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go in with a flat brush. I don't think it's focusing, but I just tried to wipe it off on my hand and it's come out like really glittery. Like most shimmer shades, this isn't really picking up on a brush that well. It's quite hard to get it in the edges, and because I'm applying it with a brush, I'm getting a bit more fallout now. And I think applying it with a brush makes it look a bit more foily rather than glittery as well, which is weird. Okay, I made the cut crease look a bit messy, but it's fine. I'm just gonna blend the edge of that glitter out with the fair shade, Warm and Cozy. And then on my lower lash line, I think I'm gonna go with Ginger Spice and then Pumpkin Spice, which is the two really warm, like yellow and orange shades there, just to make it look like a bit warmer, because it's a bit more dull than I was anticipating, but I am just gonna pop those on my lower lash line. Okay, I think I put that yellow shade a bit too low, but I think I'm finished with the eyeshadow. I'm just gonna add some liner and lashes and be back with my final thoughts. Okay, so this is the final look. I'm pretty happy with it. I really like the shimmer shade. Like, it's such a nice like greeny golden shimmer shade. I really like it. It's a very autumnal look. Obviously there are like a lot of like autumn shades in here that you can play with. Like some that I like didn't even touch. So there's a lot of different looks that you can do with this palette. The quality is the same as all the other ones, very, very good. I didn't actually find any patchiness with that shade, and I think out of any of them that would have probably been the most difficult to use, but I didn't seem to have any problems with it at all. The packaging of the palette is very, very cute, although even though it is obviously pumpkin coloured and has like pumpkin with whipped cream on the top, I think they could have made it cuter. Like it's a very like maybe cop out packaging, like just orange with like a bit of a crust around the edge. I think they could have made it cuter, but it is still very cute. Fits in with the theme of my cushions, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I really, really like this palette. I will definitely be trying to do some more autumn looks with it. I obviously want to get my money's worth, especially with the shipping. So yeah, I will be using this as much as I can. And as you can see, all the shades blend very nicely together. I actually really like the yellow over the top of that because it just warms the whole look up quite a lot. It is a very good pigmented yellow, so that is good because I wouldn't have wanted a weak yellow in my autumn palette. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. That is my review of the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. Hopefully, if I can afford to, I will be doing reviews on their Christmas stuff because I get their Christmas releases every year. I love them so much. If you want to check out my review of their previous Christmas palettes, then I will link it up in the top somewhere. But again, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye!